There are very few diseases that cause as many different symptoms as diabetes. On the skin, in the eyes, and in the kidneys, diabetes sends out SOS signals from inside the body in many different forms. If you fail to notice these signs, it can truly become life-threatening. It is not at all rare that a concern you always thought was minor turns out to have been caused by diabetes. In this video, I'm going to thoroughly organize and explain the signs that diabetes sends throughout the body. About 40% of cases requiring dialysis are due to diabetes, and diabetes can also be the starting point of other serious diseases. So please don't overlook it. You really need to know the early warning signs of diabetes. Hello, I'm Dr. Miso Lee, a Korean medicine doctor at the Well Aging Laboratory. Let's once again study some important health topics together today. Signs of diabetes. By watching this video, you can check whether you currently have symptoms that match diabetes and also learn to recognize signs that should make you cautious about diabetes in the future. So please watch until the end. Now, let's start the explanation. We will analyze the human body step by step and introduce the warning signs of diabetes. First, as the name suggests, let's begin with symptoms related to urination. When it comes to urine, people with diabetes may urinate more frequently. This is what we call frequent urination. As the name of the disease implies, in diabetes, the amount of sugar in the urine increases. When sugar increases in the urine, when sugar remains inside the body, it draws water along with it and pulls it into the urine. Because of this mechanism, the total volume of urine increases, and naturally, the frequency of urination increases as well. Frequent urination can also occur due to an overactive bladder, or, in men, from an enlarged prostate. But diabetes can also be the cause. Please remember this fact. However, frequent urination is considered just the beginning stage among diabetes symptoms. Now, let's look at the next sign. The second sign of diabetes appears on the skin. In diabetes, the skin can become quite itchy. Why does this happen? As explained earlier, diabetes increases the amount of sugar in the urine and also increases urine output. When urine volume increases, it means the body is losing excess water. As a result, dehydration is more likely to occur, and when that happens, the skin loses moisture and becomes dry. Additionally, excess sugar in the body can bind to proteins and accelerate skin aging, a process known scientifically as glycation. As many of you may know, when the skin becomes dry, it becomes more sensitive to external irritation, and itching becomes more likely. Diabetes also affects the nervous system and disrupts nerve regulation, which can reduce sweating, especially in the lower body. When sweating decreases, the natural oils and protective barrier of the skin are reduced, causing the skin to become even more dry and rough. This mechanism makes the skin of people with diabetes much more prone to itching. That's why moisturizers are often essential for diabetic patients, and proper skincare becomes extremely important. When the skin becomes overly dry, cracks may begin to form. Through these cracks, various foreign substances can enter and cause additional problems. One of the most common examples of this is athlete's foot, fungal infection. In fact, people with diabetes are said to be about twice as likely to develop athlete's foot compared to those without diabetes. A fungus called dermatophyte, commonly found on the soles of the feet or between the toes, can enter through the cracks in the skin and cause infection. Diabetes and athlete's foot are known among doctors as a very common combination. And there is another major reason why people with diabetes are prone to athlete's foot. In fact, people with diabetes are more likely to have a weakened immune system. When blood sugar levels rise, the function of white blood cells, which act as the body's police force, weakens. When white blood cells lose their strength, they can no longer properly defend the body, and infections such as viruses or bacteria are more likely to occur. The reason diabetics are more prone to athlete's foot is also due to this weakened immune response. Additionally, if bacteria enter through cracks in the skin, the foot can become swollen, red, and painful, leading to a condition called cellulitis, accompanied by a high fever. Diabetics are also more likely to catch colds, And more importantly, diabetes is one of the major risk factors for severe illness when infected with COVID-19. The higher your HbA1c, hemoglobin A1c level, the key indicator of diabetes control, the greater your risk becomes if you get infected. Preventing diabetes is not only about lowering blood sugar, it also plays an important role in reducing infection risks and supporting overall health. So, what happens inside the body when diabetes is not properly managed? The symptoms of diabetes do not end here. Let's continue exploring together. On this channel, we share health information based on medical expertise and scientific evidence. If you subscribe, it will definitely benefit you. Now, welcome to the second half. When diabetes remains uncontrolled, what changes occur in the body? This refers to intense thirst. While increased urination and dehydration contribute to this, the fundamental reason is that high blood sugar causes the blood to become thicker and more viscous. When this happens, the brain sends a command, "Drink water," to thin the blood so it doesn't clot or become blocked. However, many people respond to this signal not with water, but with sugary drinks such as cola, energy drinks, or juice. The result is predictable. Blood sugar rises even higher. The brain demands even more fluid, and the vicious cycle continues. If this loop does not stop, blood sugar can skyrocket to dangerous levels, and in severe cases, the person may lose consciousness and need emergency medical care. This condition is medically referred to as PT bottle syndrome. It describes a situation where repeatedly consuming sugary beverages, such as cola, causes blood sugar levels to rise to dangerous levels. If you've recently felt unusually thirsty for no clear reason, it may be a signal from your brain saying, "Give me water to lower the blood sugar." And finally, one of the most common symptoms that appears when diabetes becomes severely uncontrolled is weight loss. Many people who say, "I've been losing weight and I just don't feel well lately," are already experiencing severely elevated blood sugar levels, indicating that diabetes is progressing. While diabetes is more likely to occur in individuals who are overweight or obese, once it advances, weight loss may actually occur instead. The cause of diabetes is that the body does not produce enough insulin, the hormone responsible for lowering blood sugar, or the insulin that is produced does not function properly. Normally, insulin allows the body to convert sugar in the bloodstream into energy and deliver it to the cells. However, when insulin does not work correctly, sugar cannot be used as energy and begins to accumulate in the body. As a result, the body starts breaking down fat and muscle to compensate for the lack of energy. This is why weight loss occurs. When diabetes has progressed to this stage, it is already a very dangerous condition. Many patients who visit the hospital appear visibly unwell even before examination. While this is a clear symptom of diabetes, it should never be allowed to progress to this level. This concludes the explanation of diabetes symptoms. When diabetes is not properly controlled, it means the sugar in the bloodstream continues to damage the blood vessels. As this continues, arteriosclerosis, the hardening and narrowing of the arteries, progresses much more rapidly. The problem is that arteriosclerosis shows almost no symptoms in its early stages, so even though the damage is happening silently, most people do not notice it. And the first place where these symptoms begin to appear is not in the large blood vessels, but in the very small ones, the microvessels. When arteriosclerosis progresses in these tiny microvessels, the first organ that is affected is the eye. The blood vessels that supply the eye are extremely delicate and can be damaged very easily. Once these vessels begin to deteriorate, the most important part of the eye, the part that functions like a camera film, also begins to suffer damage. The retina is the part of the eye that functions like the film of a camera. If this area does not receive sufficient nutrients, vision may deteriorate or become blurry. This condition is medically known as diabetic retinopathy. When diabetic retinopathy develops, you may begin to see floaters, black dots or thread-like shapes drifting across your field of vision, even when nothing is actually there. Because diabetes and eye health are closely related, diabetic patients must receive regular eye examinations to check the condition of their retina. If blurry vision or difficulty seeing continues, it is important to visit an eye doctor to check for diabetic complications. And next, there is another common symptom that can appear in daily life when diabetes progresses. Now, finally, let's summarize the steps you must take to prevent diabetes and to manage it if you're already at high risk. What I'm about to share is not just information. It's a practical guide you should start applying immediately. Please listen until the end. First, food choices. There is one key rule in diabetes prevention. Choose foods that raise blood sugar slowly. When blood sugar spikes quickly, the body releases too much insulin. If this continues, the pancreas becomes exhausted. So the guideline when choosing foods is simple. Not food that fills you quickly, but food that digests slowly. For example, white rice, brown rice, white bread, whole grain bread, instant noodles, buckwheat noodles, sugary drinks, water or unsweetened tea. And remember this, drinks raise blood sugar even faster than food. Soda, fruit juice, sweetened coffee and energy drinks raise blood sugar almost instantly. Avoid them when possible. Second, protein and healthy fats. Protein keeps you full longer and raises blood sugar very little. Recommended foods: eggs, tofu and beans, fish like salmon and mackerel, and chicken breast. Healthy fats protect blood vessels. Examples: avocado, nuts, olive oil, omega-3 fats. But avoid fried foods, processed foods, and trans fats. Third, walk for 10 minutes after meals. Research shows people who walk right after eating control blood sugar better than those who exercise at other times. Fourth, sleep and stress control. Lack of sleep and high stress worsen blood sugar control. So reduce nighttime screen time, maintain regular sleep, and avoid late-night eating. Finally, regular checkups. Health is not how you feel. It's what your numbers show. Diabetes is not something to fear. It's a condition you can control and prevent. If you've had similar experiences or struggles, please share them in the comments. It may help others. To prevent these symptoms, the most important action is getting an annual health checkup. Do you remember your most recent blood sugar level, or HbA1c, glycated hemoglobin value? If not, take out your last health report and review it now. If you're thinking, I don't know what HbA1c means, or I don't know where to find it, please check our other videos for guidance. And if your numbers were high, make sure to watch the diabetes prevention video as well. For those who say, I don't need a health checkup, but several symptoms mentioned earlier apply to you, you may already have diabetes. You must get a checkup. Protecting yourself from diabetes and preserving your vascular health is a key component of preventive medicine. By the time symptoms become noticeable, the disease is often already progressing. Through this video, I hope you've learned the signs early so we can work together to prevent diabetes. This has been Dr. Miso Lee from the Well Aging Laboratory. Thank you, and I'll see you again in the next video.